Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, Christopher Musa, has disclosed that Finland has been encouraging Biafran separatist Simon Ekpa to wreak havoc in Nigeria. Ekpa is one of the leaders of the proscribed separatist group, the indigenous people of Biafra. The CDS also blamed the judiciary for partly contributing to the lingering insecurity in the country. Musa said Finland must explain why it continues to protect the separatist leader. He added that the Finland ambassador to Nigeria should be summoned to provide clarification on the stance of the Finnish government. Musa disclosed this on Tuesday while appearing before the House of Representatives for the sectoral debate. The Chief of Defense Staff appeared before the lawmakers alongside the Chief of Army Staff Taoreed Lagbaja, the Chief of Naval Staff Emmanuel Ogala, the Chief of Air Staff Hassan Abubakar, and the Inspector General of Police Kaide Egbetukwu. Musa said the government must act because the utterances of Ekpa are causing havoc in the southeast region. Ekpa, who resides in Finland, has repeatedly declared sit-at-home orders across the southeast as part of activities to force the government to release Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of IPOB. The enforcement of the order often leads to killings and violence in the region. Okay, to talk about this, especially from the legal perspective, to give us a breakdown as to why it's been difficult for the Finnish government to actually repatriate or extradite Simon Ekpa. Well, I have right here in the studio Barrister Evans Ufeli. Barrister Evans Ufeli, welcome to Enterprise Morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Okay, remember that on Enterprise Morning, you can follow us across the social media at Enterprise TV 7. Send in your comments, be part of the conversation. Barrister Evans Ufeli will give us a legal representation, what this means and how it affects, Nigerians and the Nigerian government in general. Now, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff were invited by the House of Representative members. It's been an ongoing invitation for almost 2 weeks. Eventually, they appeared. One of the things they explained, or rather they told the House, is that the reason why we still experience insecurity is because the prison warders are enabling the Boko Haram members in their prisons to take out funds and furnish, or rather fund, whatever nefarious activities the Boko Haram members have been on. Another aspect concerning IPOB is concerning Simon Ekpa, and they actually said that the Finnish government needs to help them because he has been wreaking havoc in the southeast. And I remember that we're having this conversation. Is there any treaty or any agreement when it comes to security between the Nigerian government and the Finnish government?
There is none. I checked that this morning. There is no extradition treaty. There is no treaty on security and all that between the Nigerian and the Finnish government. There is none. But what I think is important is not even to make the utterance of summoning their ambassador here to discuss security issue. It is an international issue. Finland is a signatory to the Geneva Convention. I talk about international humanitarian laws and all that. But the truth is that you don't make such blanket statement against a sovereign nation that the Finland government supports what Samuel Ekpa is doing. You don't say that. You understand? If you have a problem in your country and the person whom you feel is instigating the problem and the crisis is not within your shores, you don't cast aspersion at the country where he is resident. There's no evidence that the Finland government is sponsoring Samuel Ekpa.
Is it possible?
They are supporting him.
Is it possible the reason why they said Finland is encouraging him is because they may have written on several occasions to the Finland government to actually help in seeing how they could extradite Simon Ekpa?
You cannot extradite without a treaty. There must be a law that will make that happen. If you do that without a law, it's an encroachment on the fundamental rights of the person under reference. This is not Nigeria. Finland is not Nigeria.
Have you seen his YouTube page? Because that is basically where he does his broadcast.
Yes.
Can't the government possibly use that and tell the Finnish government to look at what this man says on his page and actually tell them the chaotic events that transpires after he gives his order on YouTube? Possibly they could shut down that particular page or flag it off. Is there no other measure through
YouTube
which...
does not belong to the Finland government. YouTube does not belong to any government. It is owned by private citizens, individuals, okay? And YouTube have its own community rules and regulations. Okay, if you have a problem in your country, it does not automatically mean that whoever is making a broadcast from a YouTube channel, once it's against a person or a country, there should be flagged. If it's not part of the community rules, if the page is not reported, did they report the page? How many persons have reported the page? And have they been able to provide evidence as to the havoc that page has committed and all that? All he's saying there, does it go contrary to the community rules, of YouTube? So those are issues. You see, you can't just call a sovereign nation out like that. It's wrong. More so you are doing it at the National Assembly. And when you are doing that at the National Assembly, it means that you are deliberating on an issue like the country is discussing another country in the light that they are doing that. There's a way they can get him if they want to get him. They have what they call the Interpol. Okay. If there's a reasonable suspicion that someone has committed an offense here and has left the country, or has committed an offense somewhere, or is committing an offense somewhere against the country, you use the international police to do that. Okay.
Like they did with Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes, of course. The international police have their own legal capacity to arrest anywhere in the world, even in countries where there's no treaty. Okay, so that route can be used if really. The truth is that the person under reference must have also committed an offense.
So you saying all of this, he hasn't committed any offense?
Well, I'm not saying he hasn't committed any offense. You are not arrested because you commit offense. You can be arrested where there's a reasonable suspicion that you are likely to commit an offense. So if truly they want to arrest him, what they need to do is to use the Interpol. Because it's one thing to arrest him, another thing to get him down. Okay, the Interpol, that route is the best. Now, if you want the Finland government to assist, you don't call them out first before you approach them. I don't know whether the Nigerian government has approached them. But calling them out that they are supporting or they are encouraging him to do what he's doing, I don't think. What interest does the Finland government have in the southeast or in Nigeria? How many investments do they have here? I mean, the least thing the government of Finland will want to talk about is the crisis in the southeast. It does not in any way bother their economy or bother their own country. No, he's just a resident there. So the federal government must think of a better way to do whatever they want to do and not to keep calling out countries.
Okay, so let's look at the situation in the southeast, because there are several, let me not use several angles. It will look like there are several ways through which we could look at this matter. But let's look at 2 or 3 different angles that we can look at the situation or the breakdown of the security defense mechanism in the southeast. Now, according to the defense chiefs, they are actually saying that the reason why the consistent insecurity is ongoing in the southeast is because of Simon Ekpa. But some indigents who were kidnapped along that route, some victims of the kidnap situation, have alleged that some headers who speak Fulani, that is, the Fulani language, Hausa, they're actually the ones going on with this. So some indigents in the southeast believe that their border have been infiltrated by Fulani headers, and they're the ones carrying out these nefarious activities. Others believe that the Nigerian government or the Nigerian army knows this, but that IPOB or ESN is usually the scapegoat, people that they claim to be the ones who perpetrate those nefarious activities. We've also seen some videos when they carry out these nefarious acts where they speak the Hausa language and they do either the beheading or the kidnapping, asking for ransoms or any amount of money. So the way the Chief of Defense Staff is presenting this at the House of Representatives almost feels like the complete breakdown of law and order in the southeast is being caused solely by Simon Ekpa. What about other elements that is creating this problem, this menace in the southeast?
Well, the truth is that the headers clash predated the sit-at-home
Order.
or even the ESN formation, where there was a serious issue of farmer header crashes from Benue and Gatu. Remember the Gatu and all that down to before it got to the southeast, even part of Delta and Edo. Well, that is already an established criminality ongoing before this eastern this thing happened. And to add to this, the federal government is the one fueling the embers of insecurity in the southeast. You ask me how. Even the court have told the federal government to release Nnamdi Kanu. Even the court. There's a subsisting ruling of the court that he should be released. Then you kept him. You kept him. His followers, and they're not issuing stay-at-home order. Sam Ekpa is making inflammatory statement from wherever he is. Then the next thing you don't turn out the Finland government. But I mean, the person in custody, your custody, the court have asked you to release him. You violate the court order. Then you turn around to point fingers at other country, or to turn around to say that those who are perpetrating crime in the southeast are. We've seen videos of criminals, insurgents, bandits that have crossed over into the southeastern part of the country, even the south area. That we see them speak Fufude. Fufude is the Fulani language. The southeasterners don't speak Hausa or Fufude. They don't. So this crisis is one that is being sponsored by different elements. But when they want to address the issue, you can imagine a northerner pointing an accusing finger at the south and east when the north itself have been completely run down by their own people. So this is not the right way. If you want to address crime and criminality, you don't have to be tribal sensitive.
Okay.
Because criminality knows no tribe, knows no gender, knows no. So it's not tribal sensitive. People are committing crime against humanity. If you want to address it from the standpoint. You don't begin to point accusing fingers at individuals and countries being responsible for the woes in your land.
Okay.
The security and welfare of the people is primary purpose of government. That's what the law says. So why are you not able to put your acts together, okay, as a country to defeat insecurity? Why are you pointing here and there? Those are questions they need to answer.
Another thing to actually consider, to look at another angle, remember I said that let's look at three angles, potent angles through which a couple of critics believe that is the consistent reason for the breakdown of law and order in the southeast. Apparently, one of them is the fact that they believe that the security operatives are the ones sponsoring this.
The security operatives,
the military personnel themselves, and the reason is because they're making money out of it.
That is an allegation. Okay.
We'll be right back after this break.
Enterprise TV, your one-stop shop for news, programs, human angle stories, the economy, sports, and much more. We go the extra mile to bring incredible details to you. So hop on the train now. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
The other angle is the fact that a couple of critics believe that the Nigerian security agencies are benefiting from this. In fact, they feel that they want this porosity in the southeast to continue so that they can make more money from it. Because when you continue to complain, then they will allocate funds and then they will have to keep buying arms or whatever. But the thing is, it's a huge business trade. Also, others believe that it is ethnically incentivized, meaning that because it's the southeast, the government may not really pay attention. Whatever wants to happen should happen. It's not really the business of the rest of the government or whatsoever. These are how the critics believe it's going, because they feel that the southeast is not as large as you have in the northeast or the northwest, where they say because of the mass land in there, they cannot fish out these Boko Haram members in the deep forest where they hide. But the southeast is not so big, and so why is it difficult for them to rustle out this element? Well, these are other angles through which others believe. Now, I want to read out something to you. For the CDS, that is the Chief of Defense Staff, he said that During the administration of the former President Muhammadu Buhari, they got about $1 billion, which was set aside for defense procurement. And out of that amount, over $600 million was for the procurement of aircraft. Now, some of these aircraft, when they even buy it, they don't even get to use it. It's either one or two things are wrong with it, so they put it one side. But the thing is, they keep on saying they buy arms, ammunition, and other procurement in order to combat insecurity, specifically in the northeast, north central, including the southeast. But it obviously feels like nothing is going on. It's almost like you're pouring water on stone and it's not dissolving it. Do you believe what these critics are saying? Is there any ounce of truth or reality in what they're putting out there?
Yes, there's an element of truth in that, because even though there are no evidence like to hold on to say, okay, people are embezzling money, except for one or two persons that have been indicted by the security agencies, there appears to be an element of truth, because when you keep budgeting money for security, you are buying the same thing all the time. You are not able to exterminate the enemy, but you keep buying the same thing. Even the supplementary budget, 2020 supplementary budget, security took a huge chunk of it. You can see that in the budget. The same Boko Haram is still there. The bandits are still there. Kidnappers are still there. The crisis in the southeast is still there. You understand? And mix all these billions of dollars and all that. So you ask yourself the question, what exactly have we done with all this money when the substantive crime that these monies were meant to extinguish, they are still alive, well and sound. So there's no way, whether it's conspiracy theory you call it, or you call it rumor, or you call it whatever it is, there is no way you convince any man with a rational thought that there is no corruption within what is going on in this sector. There is corruption. People are making a huge kill from these transactions, and these are Nigerians. These are people who are supposed to be patriotic, who should be able to, define a target. If funds are meant for it, it is extinguished. We'll move on to the next thing. But here, the crisis is blown out of proportion because they are going to get more funding for it. And that is not the way to go. Because in doing that, you are not going to be seeing lapses. See lapses here and there. This one will be blaming this one, that will be blaming this one. The new security chiefs, they must give report to the Nigerian public as to what they have done so far since their appointment. They are up to 100 days in the office now, right? From the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, all of them put together. They should tell us what is going on. Because even look at the oil theft they are talking about. The Navy have not been able to tell the public exactly what is going on there. The National Assembly had summoned them some time ago. Nothing came out of it. Okay, so we are suffering insurgency, insecurity. We also have oil theft. A lot of all that. And 2024 is coming. By next month, we'll start talking about the 2024 budgets.
Sure.
Where security will come and take a huge chunk of it again.
And they wouldn't even tell us how they utilize the 2023 budget.
Okay, now even the performance of this budget have not been released. I've not seen it anywhere. The Bureau of Statistics, they're supposed to give us, okay, we have 20% performance, 60% performance. In fact, we are supposed to even see that before the National Assembly approve the supplementary budget, which is just for 2 months. They have to spend that amount of money. But we didn't even see the performance of the substantive budget. Now, 2024 budget, we put it in place. We are budgeting and budgeting and budgeting, releasing monies, especially in the area of security, and we're not getting the results. So you can't continue like that. If you're not getting results, you can't continue like You must sweep that place, sweep it off, and see how these funds can transmit to results. Because if we are taking all this fund and put in public health care, for example, or put in education, we should know where we are. Okay, ASO will not be on strike repeatedly. the public health care would have improved and all that. So if security is going to be taking huge chunk of money and we're not going to see the result, why don't we do something about it? Why? So those are the questions.
All right. Before we wrap up this particular segment, I want to also look at another final angle through which a lot of critics are blaming the breakdown of law and order, or rather the insecurity situation in the Southeast. Others believe that the state governors in the Southeast are also culprits. They're indicted in the menace ongoing in the Southeast. For example, in Imo State, the Imo State governor there, Hope Uzodinma, has been accused by the security team he put together, who were meant to carry out his orders to possibly eliminate persons he considers that may be an opposition to his government, and that's the formation of the Ibuwagu outfit. Now, victims of Ibuwagu have complained severely on how they carry out justice, supposedly, without going through the due process. And of course, the formation was put together by the state governor, Hope Uzodinma. They were also involved in the nefarious activities that was carried out in the Southeast. What happens if it seems that the state governors are complicit in this as well, and their disposition towards it? For example, for Hope Uzodinma, one or two occasions I've heard him cry out on the press as to the insecurity in the Southeast, but he has always blamed his opposition to be those who are sponsoring these illegal elements from in carrying out the kidnapping, killings, or whatnot in that particular region of the country. Yes. So is it possible?
What politicians will do is to blame their opponents at every point in time. Because the truth is that the politicians don't trust themselves. Because if they were to be at the other side, that's what they will likely do, to rubbish, to make the subsisting government look weak. Okay. So they will throw that allegation. But whether it is true or not is a different case entirely, that the opposition has the one sponsoring the crisis there. And some other person saying that the governor is also creating insecurity by trying to eliminating those who are. That allegation is given because politicians have that proclivity. But you need to get evidence finding that, even though generally we say politicians have that tendencies, if you want to call out name like we are doing now, calling out somebody, we must go beyond that generalization that politicians have that tendency. We must go beyond that. We must find a way to get close up into the issue and find evidence to that effect. Okay?
That is coming from the legal perspective.
Yes.
If at all you want to confront it.
Yes, you have to. But unfortunately, the law enforcement agents are supposed to close up on these politicians and get facts and then take actions. Many of them are complicit too. Okay? We've seen it during elections, how, policemen will just be in the polling unit. There will be crisis there, they'll just be watching, they won't do anything. Most of them are there on the basis, like they were sent an errand to if this and this and this happening, don't move, it's not your business. But if they come against a candidate, the person will go against them. Things like that. When you have such kind of orders, the security agencies are divided. I hear people keep talking about our court. Judiciary is the problem. I keep laughing because,
in fact, this appeal court judgment has been very contradictory.
The judiciary is not the problem here. You have not cleaned up your electoral system. The people collude with the politicians to do malpractice. When they finish their malpractice, the adverse party, whom we did not favor, brings the case to the court. And then you now want the court to use judgment to clean up your political system when the public and the opposition have colluded to wreak havoc and malpractice on the system. You now turn around and say, "What eyes on judiciary?" It will never work. No, it can't work. Because see, the truth is, the people who are supposed to donate their allegiance have decided to sell it, market it, mess it up. Then they now turn around and say, "Judiciary should clean everything." so that we can have a very fantastic country. That contradiction will lead this country nowhere.
In fact, Barrister Evans Ifeanyi, on our next segment, I will need you to help explain how the appeal court ruling has actually generated quite a lot of reactions from several quarters. A lot of people feel that the judgment's been given recently seems partisan. Others feel that possibly they've been bribed. The appeal court president, Dongben Mensam, has said she's been pressured, or rather, the justices have been pressured by politicians. So I don't know what that statement means, or if that is what we're seeing in the verdict they've been given recently. And of course, you do know that they had to ask them to ensure that only Lagos and Abuja courts are able to handle all the tribunal cases because of the what you call a prejudice being observed in the courts within the states. All of these are things that we'll need to talk about and see if they are indeed affecting the recent appeal court ruling, which a lot of persons are not really happy about. Okay, we're coming up on a wrap right here on Enterprise Morning. This is the midweek edition, and like I told you, you can actually subscribe on our YouTube channel. It's Enterprise Television. That's Enterprise TV. Follow us across the social media handles at Enterprise TV 7. And before I go, there is a quote by Ban Ki-moon, and he says, "For sustainable development is a pathway to the future we want for all, and it offers a framework to generate economic growth, achieve social justice, exercise environmental stewardship, and strengthen governance." This is basically the hallmark of what Enterprise TV is all about. We'll continue to have these conversations where we're able to break down issues in their current perspectives with intelligent analysts, and of course give recommendations. Hopefully the right persons are listening, and then it could be implemented in how governance is carried out. My name is Esther Wachiku. Bye for now.
Enterprise TV, your one-stop shop for news, programs, human angle stories, the economy, sports, and much more. We go the extra mile to bring incredible details to you. So hop on the train now. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.